I'm never going to get tired of debunking lies, misinformation, and disinformation, especially from bootlicking black conservatives who want to masquerade as independent truth seekers because they think they're special because they're one of a few black conservatives out there. So this idea, and in a lot of ways, I think some of these people are flat out lying, but then some of them are just completely unintelligent when it comes to these topics. So in this video, this lady is addressing a comment made on one of her videos about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And she thinks that comment proves why we shouldn't have DEI. And what she says in this video is just a series of unintelligent comments about a topic she obviously knows nothing about.
All right, y'all. So this comment, he's talking about the plane crash in LA, and I guess Trump said that the pilot could have been a DEI hire. I don't know if this is factual or not. I'm just going off of what this guy is saying.
It's bad when someone starts a video with, I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm just going off what this guy is saying. Because what's crazy is the same device she's using to record this video on probably, I'm almost sure, has Google. And she could Google it. And there are videos out there of Donald Trump saying this, and she would have known it's factual. He did come out and try to blame DEI for an airplane crash that happened. But go on.
So you right here, you're proving our point when it comes to DEI, and you didn't even know it. When you have DEI programs in place, it makes everybody question whether that person was qualified for the job or not. It makes you wonder, if they're black, Indian, whatever the race is, automatically you think, well, they were probably just hired because of their skin color and not because of their qualifications.
I almost envy people who can be so loud and so wrong, but proud about it, the way she is. Because the only people who think that someone might be hired because of their race and not because of their qualifications are ignorant racists. Because everyone who knows anything about diversity, equity, and inclusion, anyone who has educated themselves on that, knows that there are absolutely zero DEI initiatives that hire people because of the color of their skin and not because of their qualifications. That does not exist. Putting this out there just tells us how ignorant you are.
The same goes with affirmative action. When you let people into schools based on their race and not their grade, they're not going to be able to perform at the same level as somebody that got a high SAT or a high ACT score.
You know what the studies actually show? And again, had she just got on her phone and looked this up, she'd know this. But let me tell you, what the studies actually show is that when you take a kid from a marginalized community whose only handicap is that they haven't had the resources that kids in affluent communities have had, and you put them into an environment where they now have the same resources, this equality that you're going to talk about in the next segment. When you give them the same resources, what typically happens? They typically outperform the kids who grew up in affluent communities, but they just hadn't had the resources. So let me reiterate, there are no kids sitting in schools that aren't qualified to be in those schools. There are no people sitting in jobs whose only qualification for that job is the color of their skin. That does not exist. That is a lie.
When they get into the school and, and the tests are the exact same and they don't get a leg up because they're black, you're setting them up for failure. So thank you for proving my point about DEI and why we need it completely abolished from the government, from everywhere. And my last point, just because you agree with DEI, that does not make you a racist. We just simply want people to be picked for the job based on their qualifications and their merit, not based on the color of their skin. Equality. That's what we want. Everybody to be equal. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. As always, you guys, I want to hear your thoughts in the comments.
I hate when people are given a platform and they're obviously not intelligent. And I hate speaking on people's lack of intelligence because, hey, maybe she just didn't have the resources either. Maybe she would have benefited from DEI initiatives that would have allowed her to get into a better school, that would have given her the resources to become a smarter person. Because this is an ass take. And it's embarrassing that she's putting this take out there. And there's a few people in the comments who, obviously the same people who typically, wouldn't even like black people, who are like, I love you, because she's putting a black face on their racism. But let me make sure I'm clear about this. When you take a kid and you give them resources, that is the equality that you're talking about. That is the equal part. When you say it shouldn't matter the color of your skin, we agree with that. So until we're able to get marginalized communities to a point where we're not calling them marginalized anymore, where they're equal with affluent communities, and I mean equal in opportunity and resources, until we get there, we need to keep doing that. And what that does is that makes equality, which allows those kids to get a leg up. They're not sitting in schools and doing bad when you're giving them the resources. If you've ever grown up, and as I have, I've grown up in the hood and I've grown up in an affluent community. I moved from New Orleans, Louisiana to a small town in California. I've seen what books look like in my old community compared to the books in this new community that I live in. I've seen the resources and computers given to kids and the books and pencils and erasers and aids in classrooms and tutoring and all that. I've seen what that does for kids in affluent communities. And I've seen how it hurts kids who don't have those things. When you give these kids the same resources, all you're getting is more prosperous communities. Why you're against that, I don't understand. And I think it's because you're ignorant. I don't think you realize what DEI and affirmative action actually does. What it does is it gets us to this equality that you guys all seem to think that you want. But if you wanted it, you would want kids in this community to have the same resources as kids in this community. Because when you do that, they typically prosper at equal levels. Please, people, stop listening to these ignorant, bootlicking black conservatives with these ass takes that make no sense at all. Please do me that favor. Period.
Don't want no enemies or ops. Envy in they heart, I tell them stop. Vacation on the yacht.